Well, hello there. Hello and welcome to the Lovebird Lane vidcast. I have changed the name of my video cast because it is actually video, it is not audio, so calling it a podcast is incorrect. So I am now calling it a vidcast. So here we are. If you are new here, my name is Julianne and I like to talk about my crafty things, which is what you'll find here on this channel. And I am the hand dyer behind Lovebird Lane yarns, which you can find at lovebirdlane.com if you are so interested. And I'd like to welcome everybody for joining me. I am back. I am here. It has been a hot minute and I don't know, not a lot has happened, so there's not even a lot for me to really talk to you about. I took some time off towards the end of last year. I was initially only supposed to take a couple week vidcast break, but it ended up being pretty much all the way to the end of the year, and we are now in 2021. So as I like to say, new year, same show, because people seem to, like, I've noticed some people seem to think just because the year has ticked over to 2021 that, you know, the pandemic is gone and racism is gone and we've won, and it's like, no hun, no, we haven't. But we are making the best of it. I hope you are making the best of it. I hope you are all well and you've had a lovely Christmas season and New Year's, and I'm really looking forward to this year. I think this is going to be a good year. That's the way I'm looking at it. I am here to talk about some crafting. I don't have everything that I have probably done and finished in the last however long it's been. It's probably been about 3 months, I think, since I've done one of these. So I'm just kind of working on stuff that I've finished over sort of the Christmas period and things that I'm currently working on now. I have a couple of knitting related or crafting, yarn crafting related goals that I have for this year. I'm not going to call them resolutions, I'm going to call them goals. And my word of the year, if anybody's interested, is discipline, because that is something that I am lacking in most places of my life. So I definitely want to become more disciplined in finishing my works in progress. So that is one point that I'm going to be focusing on, and finishing things at once instead of like putting them away and then getting them back out and trying to figure out what I was doing and that kind of thing. I have a story to tell about one of my works in progress, which I pulled out from storage the other day. So there is a reason for that resolution goal. My second goal is to be more disciplined in my spending and my money habits. And I also want to be more disciplined in my health. So the health and the money thing will probably be on my brand new YouTube channel, which I will maybe talk about later. I don't really want to spend a whole lot of time spruiking other YouTube channels on this one because we're here for the craft, right? We don't want to hear about the other things. I will touch briefly on it at the end. I have actually two other channels, so I'll touch on those briefly at the end, just to give you a heads up, and I'll put the links in the description as well. So I guess we are all here for the yarn content, so maybe I should get on with it. What do we think? Yes? No? I say yes. Alright, so I'm going to go through some FOs that I have done over the last little while. So I've just realised I didn't get any sock blockers for these, so you'll have to just take them as they are because I'm not going to go and dig around for them. But these are a pair of socks. So these are really popular on Instagram when I shared them, so that was pretty fun. This was just a pattern that I kind of made up. I saw a stitch pattern like this on another project, and I really liked it because it kind of looks a little bit puffy when it's not being worn. When you put them on, it does sort of stretch out and look more like the ribbing that it actually is. It's just like a rib stitch that's kind of like double moss stitch. So you've got double knit, double purl, and then but you do like 3 rows or rounds per rib section, and then there's just some stockinette in between. But when they're unstretched, they have this cute little like puffy quilting kind of texture to them. So these were knit from some Spun Right Round yarn that I've had in my stash for quite a while. I'm pretty sure I bought that back in maybe the end of 2017, I think, or the end of 2018, one of those years. I got this from Eat Sleep Knit on their Black Friday, the one where they have the sale where you get a random discount off your order. So that was when I purchased this. I purchased it with a couple of other skeins, but I destashed those because I don't know what I was thinking. It had a ton of fluoro yellow and orange in them. It's like, Julianne, what were you thinking? But this one really spoke to me because this is, you know, it was called Dusty Roses is the colorway that this is. It is on their Superwash Sock 80/20. 80% merino, 20% nylon, and I pretty much just made this up as I went along. It's just my regular 2x2 ribbing at the top into the little weird broken moss stitch, double moss stitch type thing, into my Fish Lips Kiss heel, and then just a regular wedge toe at the end. So yeah, I finished these, and thank you for the love on Instagram if you were over there and you did comment on these socks. But these can now go into my sock drawer ready for winter, which hopefully is not too far away. Wishful thinking maybe. It has been quite a mild summer so far, so either we're going to have a huge scorcher over the next few months, or it's going to maintain its kind of temperateness, I suppose. So we'll see how we go. I really feel like I'm in rare form today. I guess I just haven't done this for so long that I'm so excited to be sitting here doing it. So I hope you enjoy the energy. Okay, so the next thing that I finished is something that everybody else, well, everybody else was way ahead of me for a start because I was late starting this. And I also got a lot of love on Instagram for this project. And it is my Slipstravaganza shawl. So it is huge. And there is no way that I am going to fit this into the screen at once. Because it is very, very big. It's probably best if I show you just half of it, because then you kind of get an idea of what the pattern kind of is, instead of being so far back and not being able to tell. So there we go, that is it in its entirety. So as the name suggests, there's a lot of slip stitches in this pattern. So this is by Stephen West, if you don't know and you've been living under a rock. I kind of wasn't going to knit this because I'm not usually one for mystery things. I don't like mystery yarn clubs. I don't like patterns that I don't know about, because I'm just, I don't know. I'm a control freak, I think, is more the point. And by not knowing what I'm getting, I can feel a little bit discomforted by that. So I put off starting this, but then once the progress pictures started coming out on other people's Instagram, I went, that actually looks quite fun. So I decided to cast one on for myself, which you have just seen. So the yarn that I used for this is my own Silky Sock base, and I think my gauge might have actually been a little bit big. You can actually see my top through the honeycombs there, but it's nice and drapey, and I think that's also to do with the silk content, because this yarn is 50% superwash merino, 50% silk. So I'm pretty sure that's right. I think it's 50-50. Yeah, so this is the Silky Sock base, so it's going to be probably hard to show you because there's so many stripes and things. But this main colour here was my Impressionist colourway, so that's like a gunmetal blue with kind of pinky orange sections and some speckles. Might be easier to show you on the border actually. And I actually dyed up 3 new colorways. So one of them is this one here, which is this purple speckled one, and then this one, it's kind of a grey brown speckly one, and then finally this sort of navy red purple kind of colorway. So they don't have names yet. I haven't dyed any for the shop as yet. I will be having a couple of skeins of Impressionist on Silky Sock going in, and I also have dyed up some of that grey brown colour to go into the shop this week. This one here. I haven't yet dyed any of these two for the shop. Yeah, but I have to name that. I think I have a name. I haven't 100% decided yet because names are not my favorite thing to create for colorways. So this was a lot of fun. I did actually enjoy this. However, I do feel like it was a labor of love because some of those rows towards the end were getting pretty long. I think they were, just shy of 1,000 stitches long, which takes quite a bit of commitment to get to the end of a row, but yeah, I enjoyed this overall. I'm really happy with the finished object. I've actually been having it up on my dress form, which is in my lounge room just to my right, and I've been keeping it up there so I can have a look at it more regularly. When I finish shawls, because I don't tend to wear a lot of shawls, we don't have that much cold weather here, I guess, in Australia, in Adelaide. I mean, it gets cold in winter, but like, it's not like on a summer evening it suddenly gets cool and you need to just put something around your shoulders. So shawls don't get a lot of wear for me around here, but I do enjoy knitting them. So when I have finished one, I tend to put it up on my dress form and leave it there for a few months so I can really enjoy it. And yeah, I've just swapped out my Stillness shawl, which was the other mystery knit along that I participated in, that was by Helen Stewart, and swapped it out for my Slipstravaganza, which is yeah, this one. So I've had a lot of nice comments on this one. My housemate even took a photo of it and sent it through to his mum and sister, who are also young crafters, and yeah, they said some really lovely things as well. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of this one. I'm really happy with how the colours play together. I wasn't too sure when I dyed them up. I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but yeah, I think it's the fact that you always return to your main colour, which is my light blue here, that it just ties everything together. So if each of the individual colours go with that main colour, I think it's just gonna all tie together. So that is my Slipstravaganza, and I'm really, really happy with it. I'm thrilled. And glad to have it off the needles, I have to say. On to my next FO is another thing I have finished, obviously, because it's an FO. But this has actually had some wear. This is my Vasa top. So I'm pretty sure I spoke about this last year on the podcast. Possibly. I know it definitely went on Instagram. But this is a top by Diana Waller. It is under, I think her name is Paper Tiger Knits on Instagram, and this, yes, is the Vasa top. So it's very, very super simple. It was really, really fun to knit. I feel like I would probably knit another one of these in a plain color even, because this is the type of style of top that I really enjoy wearing. So it's basically just all one piece, and then there are two rectangles that are seamed together for sleeves and for the neck, or the shoulders, I suppose. And it's just basically a boxy top and a little bit of ribbing at the bottom, and when you wear it, it just kind of you know, drapes down over the shoulder. I think that's called like a dolman. Correct me if I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. It's either dolman or kimono or something, but it's like kimono, I think, tends to come down further. But yeah, it just kind of gently curves over your shoulder just to give you that slight cap sleeve. And when I'm looking for shirts to buy, that's usually the type of shirt that I will purchase, is one that doesn't have sleeves, like separate sleeves. It'll be one that is wider in the body so that you've got those longer drop down sleeves. So this yarn that I used here is partially my hand dyed yarn. So the goldy color is avocado dyed, and that is one on that I did back last year sometime. So it's not the pink that I was aiming for, because avocado does give really lovely pinks, but it's kind of a rose gold, and I'm down with rose gold too, so I'm happy with that. And the contrast color that I used was Cat Sandwich Fibers in their Quirky Sister colorway. Yeah, I really enjoyed knitting this one up. It was very, very simple. Like I said, it's just basically two rectangles that you seam together. So as I said, this has probably been worn 2 or 3 times now, I think. And yeah, for a knitted top, I was expecting it to be really hot to wear, but it's actually quite comfortable. I mean, not, like I said earlier, the weather here is not super hot as yet, even though it is, you know, January now. yeah, and I have worn it a few times and it's quite comfortable. So I guess that's the charm of wool, is is how temperature regulating it is. So yeah, that is my Vasa Tee. And my final FO is a husband sweater. I have finished one. Can I have a round of applause, please? I have finished a sweater for Simon. So it is not the cardigan that I initially cast on for him. That is probably next after my current cardigan that I will show you in my works in progress. I've just looked at it and I think I'm halfway through a row, so that is not very well planned. But this is a Flax Light sweater, so that is a pattern by Tin Can Knits, and I did it basically exactly the same. Simon I think is about a 40-inch chest, so I did the 42 for him, and I just left off the garter strip on the sleeve. So this yarn here is Knit Picks. It is their Stroll tonal colorway range, I mean, in their Raven colorway. So it's this purpley blue, grey, black kind of color. It did spiral pull, and that is even though I was alternating skeins, so you probably see there that there's those purple stripes that are going through along with the variegated stripes, which I don't love, which is probably why I haven't knit this yarn into anything for me, because I hate spiral pulling and I hate flashing. So yeah, Simon's not going to care. He's just going to be like, it's a sweater. So although me looking at it might be a different problem. The sleeves, I did not alternate skeins, and they got a little bit funky around here, but on the whole they stayed actually quite well distributed, apart from that little spot just in here. You can probably see that anyway. And then it went back to being nicely distributed. So yeah, I've knit this pattern probably 2 or 3 times now. So it's one of their simple patterns, simple collection patterns. It is free. So yeah, I knit this for Simon. I have not had him try it on since it was finished. I did have him try it on for sleeve length, so I mean technically he's had it on for the length, body length, and I had to rip back because the pattern wanted much longer sleeves than arms that Simon has. So Simon's arms were not long enough for the pattern, so I basically had to rip back at least the ribbing length. So I think that's 1.5 inches of ribbing here. So I basically had that knit in stockinette and I had to rip it right back and put the ribbing on. But it looks very, very long to me, which is fine if I was knitting it for me, because I have a long body, so that would not matter. But as I've said before on this podcast, Simon is a little bit of a small guy. He's only about my height. So yeah, I'm hoping that it's not too long, because I don't know how men look with jumpers down past their bums, but so I do need to get him to try this on. But the plus side of it is if it is too long, it is knit top down, so I can just rip out my bind off and pull back some of the length and redo the ribbing, and we'll be all set. Yeah, that is to be advised because I need him to try this on. So that is my final FO that I'm going to share today in the vidcast. I keep wanting to say podcast. Do you notice that? I pause before I say vidcast. It's going to take a little while for me to get past that. But now I will move on to what I am currently working on. Here in my little basket, I have another pair of socks, because of course I have socks. These were actually my Christmas Eve cast on, and these are a pattern by my friend Jess, who is a sweater collective, and this is her house party socks. Now these were released just before Christmas, and I cast these on Christmas Eve at my sister-in-law's house. So I have finished a sock, and I'm using up some of my precious Wool and Vine yarns to knit these. So this is Wool and Vine yarns Footsie in the tea leaves colorway. If I can get that to focus, there we go. So it's knitting up really lovely, and there we go, that is my first sock. So I have actually eschewed my favourite Fish Lips Kiss heel for the Eye of partridge, I think, heel, I think is what it's called. So I'm actually knitting the heel in the pattern this time, which is quite unusual for me, because usually I just always sub out the Fish Lips Kiss heel for any heel that is written in the pattern. As you can see, there is like this, or maybe if I do it this way, it's probably better. You can see there's like these little flower stitches, I think is what they're called, on the front there. They look like little starbursts on here, and then on the back you've got like a it's kind of like a pearled moss stitch type of look, and you've got these cabled crisscrosses here. And then the little flower pattern is just continued down the foot, along with that eye of partridge, I think, heel. And this is my first time knitting with footsie, I believe, and I don't love it on little needles, I have to say. I'm finding that I am splitting the yarn a lot. I mean, that could also be down to the fact that I do use sharps. I use 9-inch circulars with the higher with the sharp ends. So it could be that the ends are just a little bit sharp and I'm splitting the plies on this yarn, but it has created a few issues. So although I love them, I love the pattern, I loved the color of the yarn, I am finding it a little bit difficult to knit because I do keep splitting the plies on the yarn. But I shall persevere because I have a full sock. So I have started my second sock, but I've put it down for the moment to work on what I'll be talking about next. So I'm what, 4 and a half repeats into the leg. I did actually, that is a modification that I made. I believe the pattern says to do 7 crosses. I added an extra, so I did 8. So yeah, I'm about halfway through the leg on this one. So I know this one is one that I have spoken about on the podcast before, because it was already in my show notes as a link so that I can keep it there until it's finished. And speaking of links, everything is down in the description. If you want to find me on social media, if you want to find any of the projects that I am currently talking about, they are all down in the description. That's where I will keep all my show notes, where I do keep all my show notes, not where I will. Yes, I am mid-row on this one, but that is going to make it hard to show you, isn't it? Well, that's annoying. I will flip it inside out because I'm doing a wrong side rows. Alright, so this is a cardigan. This is the Cardigan Péridot. I have shown this before. So I wanted a black cardigan. So this does not look like it's showing up at all on the camera. There we go. So it is a V-neck cardigan. So it's going to be very hard to show you. I hope you just didn't hear my stomach. Today is a fast day and I'm really hungry and my stomach is grumbling. So you might be able to see there, it's a slightly textured stitch, like there's pearl bumps through, like offset pearl bumps through the fabric. It just has stockinette sleeves and a V-neck, and it will have buttons, and you are knitting the button band as you go. Let me see if I can hold this up properly. So you can see there that you actually knit the button band into the cardigan, which is great because I really hate picking up button bands. So the issue that I had with this, I alluded to it earlier, when you pick up and put down projects the way I have, where you put it down for months on end and you just completely forget where you were, what you were doing. Yesterday I had a bit of a mishap. We were out at my therapy appointment and I was knitting this in the waiting room, and I suddenly remembered, hang on, isn't this supposed to have buttons? Shouldn't I be putting in buttonholes? And yes, I was supposed to be putting in buttonholes, so I had missed a buttonhole. So I think I had to rip back maybe 1.5 to 2 inches. So I did that in the waiting room and picked up my stitches again. So that was kind of annoying. And I know that if I had just knit this straight through and been monogamous on it and been disciplined to finish it, I would not have missed that buttonhole. So that is what I'm going to try to avoid by actually finishing what I start. So you can see here I went back and I put in my buttonhole. So all is good with the world. But yeah, I'm looking forward to having this ready to wear by autumn when it starts to get cool again. It was really funny. It was cast on as a whim because I decided that I needed a black cardigan in my wardrobe, but then I put it aside and it's been on the needles for probably 6 months. So it's kind of like, yeah, that was great, Jules. You wanted a gnats or something. You wanted a black cardigan and then you've just put it aside and never worked on it. So I'm working on it again. I think I have about 2.5 inches before I start my bottom ribbing, and then it's just the sleeves, and the sleeves will go. I could probably knit a sleeve in a day of concentrated knitting. If I did it on the weekend, I could knit both sleeves in a weekend, I would say, which is fortunate because tomorrow is the weekend, but I don't think I'll be finishing the body of this today. But I can foresee this being done possibly even before next episode, which would be fantastic. I need to wind myself a new ball of yarn today. So I didn't speak about the yarn. This is my yarn again, and it is my slightly felted, because I did a bad job at this one, slightly felted singles base. How you felt superwash wool, I don't know, but I achieved it. So this is quite fluffy and got little lint balls and stuff on it as I'm knitting it. So I have at least another skein of this dyed up out in my craft area, so I'll need to wind that today because there's not too much of this left. But yeah, that is my final work in progress, because I only have 2 because I'm being disciplined and monogamous. Alrighty, so I have a feeling that this I said it, that this vidcast is actually going to be quite long, so I might leave it there. I will just quickly touch on the 2 other YouTube channels that I have, because I know I have not done a Lovebird Lane vidcast since I launched both of them. One of them isn't actually quite launched yet. It is in its I'll be recording another video not long after this one to make my first video for that. But I have 2 channels. One of them is about plants, so that is because my planty obsession. If you follow me on Instagram, I keep saying that, I'm at Lovebird Lane on Instagram, and because of my planty obsession, I have now created a plant related YouTube. So over there I'm going to talk about my plants, care tips, plant tours, plant shopping. I've got a couple of plant shopping videos up there already, and yeah, so that's been a lot of fun. And my second YouTube channel is going to be about minimalism and intentional living, because I am probably going to be buying a house this year, and I would like to reduce my belongings and have a more minimalist life once we move into our own home. And as part of that, I'm working on minimalizing a bunch of different things. You would have seen on my vlogs, if you watched before Christmas, my Vlogmas videos, I did quite a bit of decluttering in those. So if you enjoyed that type of content, that is what is going to be on my other channel, which is just my name. It's just Julianne Cole. So my plant channel is Julianne's Jungle, and my minimalism channel is just my name. So I hope you will join me there if you were interested in either of those things. And there was something else I wanted to say, and I cannot remember what it was off the top. I remember. For those of you who remember, I did have a Patreon for the Lovebird Lane vidcast way back in the day. It was probably 2+ years ago. And I decided to shut it down because it was taking up too much extra time, just trying to do stuff over there. Well, I mean, it wasn't, but it was. Like, it was just something that sort of hung there in the back of my mind, and I didn't really, it wasn't really working for me at the time. But I have relaunched it for 2021. So if you are interested in supporting my channel, it will help me to upgrade my camera. I really love to get a microphone, which I don't have, and tripods for doing, what do you call them? tutorials and things like that, so I can have an overhead view. I have done that before, but it's very hard to set up and it's very hard to keep the tripod out of view of the camera. So those are a couple of things that I'd like to be able to afford to improve the podcast, have more tutorials and things like that. So I have relaunched my Patreon. It is only $2 plus GST US a month. I did not do the conversion for that, but I think it's probably around $3.50, something like that, Australian. So if you don't have any other pressing monetary things and you would like to support me a little bit further for making this vidcast, and because it does take a lot of time and effort. I could probably be dying and making money from yarn, but I do this podcast, not that I'm trying to guilt trip you or anything, but I'm just trying to make it a little bit more feasible in the financial realm. So if you are able to support me, I would really love to have you over there. I will be having bonus content, so I'm going to be recording knit and chat with me videos where I just sit down, I do some knitting, I talk to you about what's going on, things I've been watching, things like that. I'm also going to be offering giveaways and coupon codes, and I'm looking at doing live streams if I can figure out how to do a live stream so that you guys can interact with me at the time. You know, blog posts, behind the scenes photos. I'm possibly going to be doing a dyeing series over there to sort of show you the fundamentals of dyeing yarn. So if you're interested in any of those things, you can head over to Patreon and join me there. I have popped the link in the description, so no pressure at all. I will still always be doing this weekly vidcast for you, so if you do choose to support me, thank you so much. It is truly appreciated. And on that note, I think I might leave it there. So happy knitting, happy crafting, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!